I'm a naturalist with the Elkhart County Park Department, and we're finishing up our series. We're doing a wrap today on Nature A to Z. So we've been working on this thing since January, and every month we have a different letter. So this is the letter Z, Z for zoology, okay? So we're doing a wrap. I brought my little hat, there we go, and my whistle. And confetti, all I got is leaves. I hope that's okay. That's all I could find on such short notice. So anyway, we're excited to be finishing up our series, Nature A to Z today, and zoology. Okay, so we thought we'd put everything together. Some of the animals that we've talked about for the last 12 months, and we thought that we would put all these things together, and we would do a wrap. Okay, so we're going to do some exciting things today. We're going to think about some things that make these animals unique. Exciting things like what does a cougar and a school bus have in common? Things like why does a coyote have such a long nose? Deer have long noses. What makes the daddy longlegs the most venomous spider in the world? And what mammal will actually, here in Indiana, what mammal will actually kill and eat a rattlesnake? So let's take a look at some of these exciting things that make these mammals unique. Okay, but first, a word from our sponsor. Actually, we're going to do a joke because this is December, and we're doing zoology, so we're thinking about the mammals. Okay, now what mammal do you think of Christmas time? You know, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, Bruce, Marvin, Clyde. But what deer teased Rudolph the most? Which deer teased Rudolph the most? It was Olive. Olive, the other reindeer. You used to laugh and call him names. Anyway, let's start off with the American beaver, okay? The American beaver, they have these orange teeth, and many rodents have orange teeth. Why do they have orange teeth, you ask? Well, that's a very good question. The orange teeth help they've got this iron in them. It's an iron oxide, actually, and it helps to strengthen the enamel of the teeth. So when a beaver or any kind of a rodent chews, they have this hardened enamel. The dentine layer is softer, so the dentine layer is going to erode faster than the enamel, and in doing so, the tooth gets sharper. So the more he uses the tooth, or she uses her tooth, the sharper those teeth will get. Okay. The reason that a coyote's nose is so long, a deer's nose is so long, there's a couple of theories actually, but they're beginning to think it's because of the olfactory senses that are in the nose. Deer, you notice how they wet their nose with their tongue? Now, the reason that they do that is because it helps them to attract molecules under their nose. And so that the molecules stick to their nose, which helps them to smell. So because they got that long nose, they got a lot more these olfactory sensors in there, which pick up senses a whole lot better, and so they can smell a whole lot better. So another reason they believe that they've got such a long nose, and there's a couple of theories about that, is the deer will use that long nose to watch out for animals, because that way they don't have to reach all the way down to the ground in order to feed. And they also use that nose to manipulate the food inside of their mouth before it goes into their stomach. So there's several reasons for having this long nose that way. Supposedly, many of these animals can reach inside carcasses with long noses, with the longer nose. So anyway, those are the theories that are going on. Okay, let's talk about the red fox for a minute. Did you know that a red fox can hear a watch ticking from 40 yards away? 40 yards! That's this far! So they can hear very, very well. As a matter of fact, they can catch a mouse, a meadowvole, or something like that under 3 feet of snow. So they're very, their ears are very sensitive. They are made for survival. There was a fox that actually went blind, and he must have been blind for a long time because they found some scars on his face. So they knew he'd been living out in the wild blind and still surviving. The hognose snake. Now the hognose snake does have fangs, but they're in the back of his mouth. And the theory used to be that the hognose snake would use those fangs to deflate a toad. That has pretty much been debunked, and the reason is because they don't believe that the fangs are big enough to actually deflate the toad. And they also eat other things besides toad, but toads is one of their favorite foods. But they believe that those fangs are used to help hold that toad inside of there, or a frog or whatever it might be, that might actually slip out. So they've got these fangs in the back of their mouth to help them to swallow that and keep it going down. And then the hummingbird. The hummingbird will reach about 2,000 flowers a day, and he has a wing beat of about 200 times a second. His heart beats about 20 times per second. So he's a very amazing bird. He's the only bird that can actually fly backwards, forward, backwards, up, down, whatever way they want to, because their wings don't go up and down like a normal bird. It goes in a figure 8. It goes in a figure 8 instead. So they are amazing birds. Let's talk about the bats. Okay, there are actually two types of bats. There's the megabats and then the mice. Megabats have these big eyes, and the microbats, they're the ones that we see around here. They got the little tiny eyes with the big ears, and they use what's called echolocation. Now, echolocation, a bat can hear way up here. Our hearing range is right around in here. Bats can hear way up here. You ever heard a dog whistle? That's because dogs don't whistle. Oh, humor there. But bats can hear way up here, and sounds that we can't hear. So bats are amazing in that they can use echolocation to actually locate their food in total darkness. Bats are not blind, and bats can actually swim very well. Okay, let's talk about the daddy longlegs for a minute. Now, daddy longlegs, they say, is the most venomous spider that the world has ever known. Actually, daddy longlegs is not a spider. There are three types of daddy longlegs. There's a daddy longlegs that people call the cellar spider, cellar. There's a daddy longlegs that over in England and parts of Canada, and even here in the southern part of the United States, they call it a crane fly because it's got such long legs, daddy long legs. But generally, something daddy long legs, they're talking about the harvestman. They call it harvestman because it's generally found in the fall instead of in the springtime or something like that. So about the time you're harvesting, they call this thing, they see this daddy long legs all over the place, so they call it daddy long legs or the harvestman. Now, the reason that they say that it is venomous is because the cellar spider, which is called a daddy long legs, is capable of killing a brown recluse or a black widow spider, something like that, a very venomous spider. And so because they're so venomous, they say that daddy longlegs is venomous. Well, daddy longlegs, the harvestman anyway, he's not a spider. His body parts are fused together. Spiders have two body parts, but daddy longlegs is a complete separate, he's more like a mite than he is a spider, okay? Opilines is what he's called. But he doesn't have fangs, he doesn't build webs, he doesn't have venom, not going to bite you. He's a harmless critter, okay? So he's not a spider, he's more like a mite than he is a spider. Okay, so hopefully that clears it up for you. Okay, let's talk about the ladybug for a second. Now the ladybug, is it's called the ladybug. So we got two types of ladybugs here. We actually got a lot more than that, but we got two main types that we think about. The ladybug with 7 spots. Those are our native ladybugs. Those are the good ones. Okay, those are the ones that eat the aphids in your garden. The other one, the Asian ladybug, yeah, they're the ones that congregate in the fall in large numbers. The ones that'll bite you in the fall when they're looking for something to eat. But it's called the ladybug because it's named after the Virgin Mary, because it would look after the person's garden. And so they thought it was a blessing like the Virgin Mary, so they called it Our Lady or Our Ladybug. Okay. Now, what does a school bus and a cougar have in common? Well, a cougar can actually jump all the way over top of a school bus the long way. So cougars are amazing jumpers. The next time you see a school bus, think about that. They can actually jump over top of a school bus from the engine all the way back to the back bumper of that school bus. So they are amazing jumpers. What animal can kill and eat a rattlesnake? Well, the skunk can. For some reason, the skunk is immune to a rattlesnake bite. It is immune to bee stings. Its body can handle it for some reason. Don't actually know why, but it can. And so it will kill, and it'll actually eat a rattlesnake. And turkey vultures are called turkey vultures because people thought they looked like a wild turkey, so they call them turkey vultures. Now, even though a turkey vulture has a wingspan of about 6 feet, it'll only weigh about 2 to 4 pounds, so it's not a real big one. Now, we have two species of vultures here. One is the black vulture, and they're kind of nasty birds sometimes. They'll actually eat an animal while it's still alive. But a turkey vulture, they like to have things dead. Now, you think of them eating a maggot-filled carcass in the road. That's not true. They like their meat as fresh as they can get it, just like the black vulture does. But they'll wait at least till the animal is dead in most cases. But most vultures don't like rotten meat. They will sometimes eat rotten meat if they're really hungry, but in most cases, they do not like rotten meat. They just like dead meat, just not rotten. Okay, now the bald eagle is called a bald eagle, English word baldy, and they call it a bald eagle because the white patch on its head, actually, the word baldy means white. So they call it a bald eagle. Okay, finally, we talk about the black bear. Now, a black bear can actually run the length of a football field in less than 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds. That is amazing that bear can actually go from one end, where I'm standing right now, to another end, all the way over here, in less than 10 seconds. So don't ever try to outrun a bear. Okay, once again, my name is Andy Langdon. I'm a naturalist with the Elkhart County Park Department, and this concludes our series, Nature A to Z, Z for Zoology. Okay, so this is a wrap of everything that we've talked about for the last 12 months. All right, so wrap. All right. Well, excuse me, Jack, but as a matter of fact, well, I think you've got my chair. He says, sorry, cat, this isn't my habitat, so you can sit over there. And so you say, no sweat here, I can dig it, but yet as you walk away with the grin, you like to punch him out, but he must weigh about 250, stand 6'10". All right. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you learned something, had a little bit of fun in the process, and we'll see you next year.